And I want to also say to you, Ashley, and to all our policemen, thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. I really appreciate Bonnie's assistance in a lot of different things. She actually gave me this space this past fall for the Citizen Police Academy, which I believe is starting again this fall for another session. So if any of you are interested in participating, look out on our social media, keep an eye on anything on the internet, anything the township posts. We have a Facebook, we have an Instagram. All of that will have information regarding events or things like that that have to do with community or education.
Ashley, can you explain to them a little bit about what the Citizens Academy is, just so they know?
Absolutely. We actually have one of our participants in the back of the room there. I'm going to call him out, Tony. It is a 10-week, I'll say once a week course or class session where you will learn about different facets of the police department, our equipment, what our jobs are, the day-to-day life. I'll have other agencies, other speakers come in. We had DA Weintraub, who's now a justice. We had Judge Wagner, we had Judge Hughes, who retired from Bristol Township Police. We go to the simulator, shooting simulator in Doylestown. So we take field trips like you would at school. But it is a great opportunity for you guys to kind of come sit and watch me, and usually a partner or two of mine come in and kind of speak to you guys about what we do as police officers, who we are. And I know for most people, they got to know us as people. We put our pants on the same way you guys do pretty much every day. Mine are a little big, so I have new ones coming in. But other than that, like if you are interested, you do have to apply. You do have to have no criminal background. It's preferred if you have a driver's license or have somebody who can transport you, because as I said, there are field trips. But other than that, it's once a week, usually from like 7 to 9 p.m. So just keep an eye out for that information. We do have other activities and other things coming up. June 15th is Coffee with a Cop at the Bridge Coffee House, the new one on Bristol Emily Road. That is from 7:30 to 11:30 a.m. We just spoke to them yesterday, so that's confirmed for June 15th if you want to write that down, but there'll be advertisements coming out for that as well. So, without further ado, as Bonnie said, this is the 2024 Senior Safety Seminar. I came to Bonnie expressing interest in having a conversation with you guys to talk about what we as police officers have in terms of experience, concerns, and comments in regards to supporting the gracefully aging population, because you guys are now numerous. At least in this community, I have more contact with folks 65 plus than I do anybody else. Most of them original Levittowners, my neighbors included, being original Levittowners, so I have a lot of respect. I bought my home in Levittown in Farmbrook from an original Levittowner, so I rep something. Before I begin, one other thing I want to say. This table right here are 5 new officers from Bristol Township Police Department. So, they're probably pretty sick of me because they've been with me for pretty much this is the 3rd straight week. But 4 of these folks are headed to the academy next week. One of them is a Philly veteran, and he'll be starting very shortly, probably the end of the week, driving around in a car with a vest on. No rush though, right? No rush. So, this is the future of your department, sitting right here. So, yeah. All right. So, of course, I welcome you to the presentation. We are committed as a police department to creating bonds of trust and mutual respect amongst those of you, because we want to serve and protect you the best way we know how. We feel a special commitment to, as I said, gracefully aging population. You make up approximately 15 to 16% of this township's current population. So that's a pretty high number if you really look at the age span here. We know you guys are probably the most appreciative and supportive of police officers based on your life experience and just who you are as people. I have never had a bad comment from anyone above the age of 60, and I wish it was the same for anyone under that age, especially ones my age, but can't win them all. But as always, thank you for the opportunity to talk to you guys for your continued support, and hopefully today you'll get a little something out of this. I do have business cards with me if you do want to contact me if you have any questions, you want any copies of anything, you want a copy of the PowerPoint. I do not gatekeep anything, it is yours, seriously. So, this is our table of contents. We will be taking a quick break at 10:15, bathroom, stretch your legs, leave if it's horrible, whatever you want to do. I take no offense. But this is the topic matter we're going to be discussing, kind of at a snapshot. So obviously I'm going to introduce myself a little bit more. We'll talk about safety and prevention. We're going to dive into cybersecurity, fraud, and like other related crimes. This is a very important section, hint, hint. And then independent aging and services for seniors. So, a little background on me. I'll go through it, just kind of briefly say. I am a Bucks County native. I graduated from Council Rock South in 2011. Woo, go South. I am also an alum of Westchester University. I graduated in 2015. And then I went straight to the police academy. A month later, I graduated from Delaware County Community College with my MOPEC number for being a municipal police officer. It did take me a few months, about eight long months, to get hired at Bristol Township full-time in 2016. While I was at Bristol Township, I did go back to school briefly at Villanova to get my paralegal studies degree certificate. So I do have some law experience behind me now. But as I said, I've been here since 2016, so it'll be 8 years in September. I am a certified instructor in several areas: first aid, CPR, AED, taser, body cams, tactical combat casualty care, de-escalation. The list is growing. But as you can see, I enjoy teaching. I enjoy kind of being able to come talk to people and, you know, flex my brain a bit and bring you guys really important information that I think is important. While here at Bristol Township Police, I did in 2022 become a member of the traffic safety unit. So I'm an accident reconstructionist. I will go out to fatal crashes and help rebuild them to essentially find out what happened, why it happened, and what contributed to the crash happening, and hopefully, in some cases, bring some justice to families that unfortunately lost family or friends. So, in addition to that, I also head up the youth aid panel. That is also a volunteer opportunity. If any of you are interested in volunteering, you do have to go through some brief training. You get certified to be a member of the youth aid panel, and essentially it is a diversion system for juveniles who enter the criminal justice system. So any juvenile that has contact with the police that gets charged or cited comes to me. If they qualify for the program, I bring them in, they come to a panel hearing, and then I observe them for 6 months to make sure they complete their obligations. We love volunteers because right now we have cases, because they only have hearings once a month, I have cases built out until September. And that's with 7 hearings in one night. So I'm usually here from 5 until almost like 9 o'clock at night with different families. So if you're interested, happy to give you that information. Likewise, my position at the police department itself has to do mostly with community relations, some onboarding, as well as making contacts at the schools. I do spend some time at the elementary school, specifically Brookwood, so if you have any grandkids or nieces, nephews, anything like that, who are affiliated with Brookwood, and they say, oh, I saw Officer Stone today, it was me. I'm there every Thursday. So, you ready to move on? I know it was a mouthful. I have my hands in many pots. So, we'll get to the meat of it. This is the more specific outline and order in which we'll be discussing things. We're going to start with some statistics. We're going to talk about preventing crime to you, to your home, your personal safety at home, your personal safety in public. Specifically, we'll cover cybersecurity and what that means in today's age, fraud, scams, and impersonators. And lastly, we'll cover independent aging, as well as recommendations for services and agencies that will benefit seniors directly. So, if we look at some numbers, the first one, no offense, baby boomers, the 65 plus population drastically increased due to the baby boom generation. Who here was born in 1946? You look fantastic. Seriously. That is, before what year? Can we get a round of applause for? Wonderful, you too look fantastic. And you're a sports fan. You're my friend then at that point. Yeah, how about the 70s? Great, that's even better. Fantastic, I like that. Thank you for saying something. Do you have a question, dear? Oh wow, the two of you. You guys should link up. How about you, dear? Okay, show of hands, who was born before 1946? Raise your hands. Oh, you guys got outnumbered. Sorry, 1946 and up. Anybody born after 1946? Raise your hands. Oh, never mind. So, the point I'm trying to make with that is you can see within this room, the entirety of you somewhere fit within this range or just before it. So that is why you number in much higher ratios as part of not only population here in Pennsylvania, but nationally. And I'll throw up some of those numbers in a second. But you'll see where it says percentages, your demographic of the total population, that's like total population of the United States. It's projected to rise from 17% to 23%. That is nuts. Because in percentages, in terms of like population, that's a lot of people in just a few percentage points. And then lastly, the interesting fact that I wanted to throw in here, book smarts, that as of 2023, 33% of the 65 plus age group has a 4-year degree or higher, compared to 1965, which was 5%. So you guys are smart, man. It's amazing the difference that can make. And once again, props, because I know education is not something everybody had access to at all times. So that's huge. And it's only going to increase as more of you guys enter this age group. So if we continue with some statistics, in 2022, there was some economic disparity experienced in your gracefully aging population. And unfortunately, minority subgroups were accounting for more than half of those that were affected. And I wanted to bring attention to that specifically because you have friends in the room that you don't necessarily know what's going on for them. You guys are your best friends. Buddy system. You're gonna see that a lot throughout here. Buddy system is huge. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. At this point in your life, like, keeping social relationships is very important. In addition to that, we have a caregiving gap that's starting to occur as the years go by, which means low-income families or low-income seniors, and the very sharp increase of the number of seniors, not only in general, but those unfortunately being diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia, have decreased access to care or the ability to get a hold of people over technology who can give you care. Because that's also a part of this too, is, we'll talk about it later, technology can be your best friend or it can be your worst enemy. So we'll definitely go through that and cover that. One of the new things I found in some of the research I was doing, which I was glad I found a name for, was aging in place. Does anybody know what aging in place means? Good. What does it mean?
Those people that want to remain in their own home instead of going to a facility.
Exactly. It means that folks, 76% of the 50 plus age group want to remain at home until the end of their life. That has implications as well. We'll touch on that. But in addition to that, ladies, you're living independently more than men are. I am woman, hear me roar. Just saying. You go. So that's also wonderful because it means that women are more resourceful. We're always resourceful. But that's great to see because You guys are independent. You're more independent compared to previous generations. And lastly, what helps with things like aging in place and more women being able to live independently is that home modifications and assistive devices have decreased the need for relocation, AKA you can do things to your home to make it easier to stay in your home for longer. And like I said, we'll talk more about that later with the implications that comes with, both good and bad. So, if we break down Pennsylvania specifically, in 2022, there were 12,989,208 people total, according to the census. The amount of 65 plus folks in that grouping were 2,434,405, which was 18.7% of Pennsylvania's population and 4.5% of the national population. There's a lot of you, especially here. And what goes, but here's the thing. What I also found in my research, was that Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is the most cost-effective place to age in place. It is the least expensive city and state. So, you guys, I mean, you're just outside Philadelphia, but you made out big, in my opinion. Some of the more expensive states were like Colorado, Midwest, but Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is ranked as #1 for aging in place in terms of cost effectiveness. So what's next? This presentation, the research and data you're going to see, is presenting you an opportunity. This is something you can do to prepare yourself and your loved ones, your friends you have in your life, else in the end, for what the future may hold. There is my goal to invest in the community and those of you in our community by making sure your overall well-being, comfort, and safety is taken care of, or at least you've received information on how to do that. I just want to take a second to thank you all for coming out, for listening to me. This is my first time doing something like this. It was very different in the Citizen Police Academy because it was a lot more laid back. But I appreciate you kind of letting me fumble through this, as I may do. And then, as always, I want to present the ways in which I personally believe you can prevent and prepare for your gracefully aging years ahead of you. And I want to emphasize gracefully aging. Okay, so this is our first section. When I first spoke to Bonnie about what we would be doing for this presentation, there were a couple topics that she wanted to specifically cover, which I was in agreement we should definitely cover them. Obviously, crime prevention is going to be one of them that we touch on. So, when I talk about crime prevention having to do with like senior citizens or the 65 plus age group, I have two categories. You have necessity and response. Necessity covers vulnerability and isolation. Vulnerability is something that many of you might struggle with either now or later on because it feeds a fear of being a victim of a crime, whether that's in your home or outside of your home, because your vulnerability could be your lack of mobility, maybe the way you are able to kind of hold on to things or carry things, how you can drive if you can't drive, if you're able to make modifications to your home that will keep you safe. Vulnerability is something that I've learned is a major point of contention. And as I said, limitations such as your mobility, your eyesight, changes in mental status, they feed this fear. Likewise, if you don't have good connections with family or friends or other peers around you, if you can't get transportation, you don't have a means of transportation, or possibly if you live, and this was an interesting fact I learned, many of you in your age group specifically may end up living in high crime areas simply because you stayed. That over time, the population changed, people moved, certain demographic left, other ones move in. It's a constant influx and outflow. And for original Levittowners, I'm sure you can say you've seen this kind of in and out, ebb and flow. Yeah, it's a good way to describe it. Thank you. So crime prevention is a necessity because of these things. It's going to give you the confidence and make you feel more comfortable to be able to respond if you find yourself in a situation where a crime is occurring to you and you are a victim. Number one, we need to empower you. So we go back to basics to decrease your fear and reduce your assumed vulnerability. That's the other part of this, is criminals are going to assume you are vulnerable based on how you look or what you're doing or what you're saying. We want to trip them up a little bit. We want to empower you. In the police world, we call that interrupting the OODA loop. It's the OODA loop. It's observe, obtain, decide, act. Everyone has one. So if you can interrupt it, they can't hurt you. At least you hope they can't hurt you, or they can't make you any more of a victim if you already are one. So with that, knowledge is power, and it will increase your composure and your ability to feel safe and secure in those situations. So I made up a little acronym, Mr. T. Mindset, risks, think, and watch. That is copyrighted. Thank you. Basics of crime prevention are that M, mindset, criminals are opportunists. The more obvious you make it to them that you can be picked on, essentially, the more likely they are to do that. The R's, risks, talks about ease of access. If you make it easy for them to get to you or get to your things or know where you live, they will take advantage of that. And then lastly, think and watch. You want to consider your strengths and remain alert. So that's really important in public spaces as well. Grocery stores, malls, things like that. You always want to be watching, I do, and not just because of my job. It is something I've learned keeps me safe, because if I see something, I'm going to say something or I'm going to do something about it that keeps me safe, even if that's leaving. So that's what's important to keep in mind, is that you remain alert and consider what strengths you do have instead of worrying about what you can't do. You always want to focus on what you can. That's going to help you. So some tips and tricks. First of all, you can have volunteer services, and service programs, surprisingly, will act as a form of crime prevention. Things like Meals on Wheels, mail carriers, utility workers, anybody you have regularly visiting your home is going to kind of be your secondary voice of protection, shall we say, because they're mandated to report anything that they see out of place, especially if they know you're a senior citizen. They have to say something to somebody. They lose their job if they don't. Same thing with police officers. Police officers and medical personnel are mandated reporters, meaning it is the duty of our position to tell someone if we have concerns about anyone we come into contact with and what agency can service them. For you guys, it would be the Agency on Aging, or possibly our co-responders. We do have what are called co-responders at our department. It's two young ladies who will come to your house and talk to you and ask you, what can we help you with? Do you need mental health services? Do you need access to food, transportation, just friendship, visitation, things like that. They have direct contacts. So they too are mandated reporters. Next down the line, talking about contact. Having regular contact with family, friends, and then service employees means that if for some reason you don't follow the schedule, their little antennae go up. And that's usually when we start getting phone calls of, hey, I haven't heard from my aunt in 3 days. We talk every day at 3 p.m. and she won't pick up the phone and we haven't heard from her. Can you go check on her? No problem. We will go check. We will call the hospitals to see if you guys ended up at a hospital for some reason, because we can track that. You want to have people looking out for you, even if they're not directly with you. And like follows into the next point, neighbor alarms, pendant alarms, and virtual assistants. That's my favorite part about this. We can kind of start to include technology in some of these preventative measures. So neighbor alarms are interesting because you can get installed in apartment complexes or condos an alarm system that is shared between two different apartments, where if you are in trouble, you can hit the alarm and it tells your neighbor, hey, I need help. And they can call police or come check on you or come help you. So something I learned about, brand new. I did not know that existed until now. You also have pendant alarms, Life Alert. You can hit those pendant alarms and it lets the medical alarm company know it's been activated, and they call us. If they can't get a response from you, or you're not listening to voice commands if it has them, we will come out and we will check on you. Likewise, virtual assistants like Google and Alexa can help you contact the police if you hook them up to your cell phone. So if you have a cell phone and you have somebody who can help you, if you connect Google, I know Google for a fact, I have it. I connected it to my phone, so if for some reason I fall and I can't get up, I say, hey Google, can you call 911? And it will call 911 using my phone. And most of that stuff, you can just leave, sit there, and not do anything else with it. That can just be what it's for. But it's also great if you need groceries delivered, or you need to make a list for the groceries, or you need to have contact information saved. You want to talk to family through the video feature on Google. Technology can help you, but definitely get help to set it up. But that will also help play into all of the other systems you see here. How many people see their medical professionals through like Zoom or telehealth? So we got a couple, I do, we got a couple handfuls. That's the kind of stuff that later on in life, obviously if you need help, you can get it, but that might benefit you to help stay safe. Aging in place is having that level of contact with a medical professional. Okay, so just a few more. We have a buddy system or community involvement. Hi, this is community involvement, right? Social groups, senior centers, country clubs, things like that. Really, really important because you're creating connections with peers. And then you can also get involved in different groups or activities that the police will host. Neighborhood watches, witness identification programs. If you just want to be the person who calls every time you see something suspicious, do it. I'd rather you call and tell us so we can keep an eye on it than have you end up being the victim of whatever's happening with that situation, because you never know. You're gonna see it a couple times in here. There's always a chance. That's my biggest thing, there's always a chance. So, leads me into checks and balances. Consider the ways in which your personal safety and security in any environment could be threatened. So that's at home, in public, online, with family, with friends, with service workers, anybody who comes to your door, anything like that. You always want to have in mind, how do I keep myself safe right here and right now if something were to happen? We'll go into more detail later, but your preventative measures can be things like direct depositing of checks. Have all your money go straight into your bank account. It was a fun one. I didn't even think of that being an option, but it is, it's great. Likewise, you can get a pet. Now, hold on. Taking care of a pet is a lot of work, okay? But pets serve as a social companion at the very least. You can get breeds of dogs that do not need to go outside. They are trained to go on a pad in the home. My parents have 2 of them. They are special needs dogs, but only with physical limitations. They, at the very least, can just be a social connection. But having a dog is a deterrent, because if you put a sign outside, at the very least, and you don't have a dog, that sign is also a deterrent. Same thing with alarm signs. You can put those in your yard that says, Joe Schmo Alarm Company service here. That will keep people away from your home. So, in addition to pets and direct deposit, as I said, report all suspicious activity. It doesn't hurt. There's no crime in letting us know that something is going on. And with that, you can contact us through Instagram and Facebook. We have messaging abilities there. We might not always respond to you directly, but we will take the information you send us and do what is necessary with it. And then, as I said, embracing technology, video surveillance, in-home cameras, Ring doorbells, home alarm systems, once again, virtual assistants. You can hook your alarm system up to your virtual assistant now. You can hook your lights up to your virtual assistant. You can have it have a routine that if you go out every night at 7 p.m. for dinner with the gals, it will at 8 p.m. turn on the lights, turn on the TV, and turn off the lights in another room to make it look like you're home when you're not. Interesting way to go about that. When I talk about in-home cameras, this is not that you're being spied on. This is actually a way that if you have someone, even if it's not you, if there's someone you know who wants to age in place and you are concerned about their physical well-being or their mental capacity, in-home cameras are a great way to make sure they're safe, to make sure nothing's wrong, because you can see if they've fallen, you can see if they're getting around, if they're feeding themselves, things like that. It is a secondary way if you can't get an in-home caregiver, or you're not quite at that point yet, to just keep an eye. So if you have anybody who can help you get that set up, or if they have anybody who can get help setting them up, spread the word. That's something I've seen more and more of. A lot of parents use it for their kids, toddlers, babies, because it goes quiet for 5 minutes and immediately you're like, oh God, what did they get into? It's been way too quiet. Similar concept. The Ring doorbells, they're really, really good because answering your front door is probably the most dangerous way for you guys to end up victims of crime. Seriously, your front door and your personal information being given out online or over the phone. It's terrible, but burglaries and home invasions are specific towards senior citizens. So, of course, we're going to go into more detail about that later. So, as it says here, our next section is home safety, and then after that, it is followed by personal safety. So, we'll get into it. Home safety, why it's important. Other than the obvious, most contact that we as police officers have with you guys in your homes because of crimes that happen in or around your homes to you or your home. So for instance, you are burglarized, home invasion, assault, fraud. If you get documents in the mail that you're not sure are actual legitimate documents from banking institutions or insurance companies, as it says there is always a chance, trust me, I would know, if the opportunity is there, they are going to take it. And knowing when to face or retreat from a threat is very important. There is no dignity in risking your life. And that's something even we as police officers live by, is if it's not necessary to do so, we would rather go home to our families and stay safe and take whatever means we can to do that than have to resort to anything you would see on my belt right now. Likewise, this is accomplishing forming a partnership with your local police department and other agencies if you do choose to age in place or you want to stay safe in your home in general. And you're going to prepare for the worst case scenarios. Towards the end of the presentation, I will talk more specifically about a specific kind of scenario, but here we're going to talk about scenarios where your home and your safety in your home is coming into question. So I know that's a bit of wall of text, so I'm going to walk through it. When you are talking about staying safe in your home, you want to focus on the interior and exterior of your home, as well as the forms and types of security you can put in place or the steps you can take, and how you can prepare for any of these situations coming up. The interior of your home, one of the interesting stats I found was that 60% of reported falls happen in the home. We do get a lot of calls for medics or ambulances or medical alarms going off for individuals who have fallen. It happens outside the home too. You want to go room by room And there's actually checklists that you can get access to. I'm happy to send them to you. My business cards, by the way, I did put out up here on the table up front if you want to grab one. There are checklists you can use to go room by room, both inside and outside your home, to make sure that you're doing things to avoid risks to your safety or inviting in unwanted guests. Part of this is also considering certain modifications or changes to the landscape of your home or things in your home to address what are called ADLs. Anybody know what ADLs are? Yeah, so go ahead, what is it? Right, but there it is. Activities of daily living, AKA brushing your teeth, using the bathroom, making your food, going to sit and watch TV, getting dressed, things like that. Stuff that you have to do on the average every day that can put you at risk for things like falls, injury. They can put you in a position of not being able to support yourself if the things on the cabinets are too high, or you're trying to get on step stools. It's another fall risk. Like it says here, furniture is a risk, and then the tile, linoleum, and other smooth surfaces are a hazard, both dry and wet. Now, it probably sounds a little surprising that things like that are coming from a police officer, but I have grandparents. I only have one living grandparent left, but this is something we had to do in her home because she fell twice, and that was enough for us. Additionally, the exterior of your home is where the police come in more to kind of help you prevent things happening. We know what to look for because we know what they look for. The most important thing, make sure your house number is visible. We cannot find your house if the number is not visible, especially at night. So if you gotta put a big giant sign in a window or on your yard with your house number, do it. That is, three's great. Like, put it on your garage, put it on your mailbox, somewhere visible. It should be on the curb, but it's not always on the curb, and if I'm driving an SUV, I'm not looking at the curb. I'm trying to look at the house. If you don't have a visible number, if you are on the phone with dispatch for some reason, tell them what your house looks like. Describe it in detail if you can, so we can find it and make sure we're at the right house. With that, clear your walkways, remove mats, arrange for snow removal or alternate exits from the home if you can't make those arrangements. Lock boxes. Anybody here have a lock box at their house? I have used lock boxes to get into homes before for medical emergencies because the person lived alone. It is fantastic. And not only that, you can tell our dispatch center that you have a lock box and they will put a note in your contact information that if we get dispatched to your home, we get the code for your lockbox to be able to get in. So that's like 3 measures of security you have right there. God forbid you lose your keys, you have a lockbox with an extra set. And those things are like giant padlocks. They're super thick, very hard to get off. And you want to make sure that wherever you put it, it's tight. It's close to something that isn't a doorknob, which can be broken off. So a post, a metal post for your porch, maybe like a hard, heavy cement lattice structure that you can put it around. Anything. You want to leave a window unobstructed rather, as often as you can, because that's sometimes the only way we can find you. And I mean that in every sense. That is sometimes the only way we can look at and find you is through a window. And then we have to take your door. Also a reason for a lockbox. And then obviously, don't attempt to care for your home without assistance. If you can, call somebody. If it's not life-threatening, leave it be. If you have like structural issues, contact the fire marshal, Kevin DiPolito, so he can come out and help you. License and inspections, zoning. They can find ways to give you a hand. And I'm going to give you some services at the end that will help you do things like home repairs at a low cost or for free. You can apply for some of them for free. Security, very important. Surveillance cameras inside and outside your home. You can get fake ones. I'm not kidding you. You can get fake ones from Amazon that you just screw into the roof or hang off of your roof or your gutters. If it looks like a security camera, that's the least likely place anybody's gonna target, because it looks like you have something in place to catch them. That is the most common deterrent, is security cameras or surveillance. You don't want to go face to face when answering your door. That's where Ring doorbells come in. They're very handy because you can talk to them through the Ring doorbell. Peepholes. If you don't know who these people are, or they look official, ask for their ID. Get their badge, something. Say, put it up to the peephole, put it up to the window. Because you never know. You never know. There's always a chance. As it says, request ID, digital door locks. Anybody have a digital door lock or a coded door lock? Yeah, I really should replace mine to one, but they can open with your thumbprint in some cases. They can have a code. They can be operated remotely. So if you have family that needs to get into your house, or a neighbor that you know needs to get into your house, you can give them a code, or you can give them access to operate it remotely so they can open it or lock it for you. Also, they are very hard to break into. Like, you cannot get them off like a doorknob would, or kick in the door. If your doors don't already have deadbolts, get them if you can. Deadbolts are one of the best ways you can stop a door from being kicked in and getting access to your home. And lastly, really good one, we have vacation checks. You can request a vacation check from our department. It's a little piece of paper that you fill out and you drop it back off at headquarters. It tells us how long you'll be away, where you live, who should have access to the home, if it will be occupied in any manner, dog sitters, anything like that, if there's pets. That's really good information because we do premise checks. We're constantly driving around. We'll take a ride past your house, make sure everything looks okay, make sure there's no windows broken in, doors pushed in, anything odd or out of place. And then home safety is kind of, you seal the deal with preparation. Anybody heard of a disaster kit? Yeah. So, snow emergencies, Hurricane Sandy came through a couple years back. I worked during a blizzard, I worked during Hurricane Sandy, and the amount of seniors that didn't have a disaster kit or didn't have the means to continue to stay warm, feed themselves, things like that, have their medications handy when a tree falls into their home, that's a problem. In fact, the home I have now, the previous owner, the tree fell into the house. And it had to be rebuilt. The roof had to be redone in 2012. So, by proxy, I know how important it is. My neighbor, who I live next to now, helped her through all of that because she lived alone. You want to have a list of trusted providers for maintenance and property services, people that you know you can call, that you feel safe around, who will make the time for you and maybe will do it at a lower cost, or for volunteering. If you don't have a cell phone, get one, please. Cell phones are really important, even if it is just a cell phone that acts as a medical alert device, because they have those. They make those now. There's several companies, alarm companies, I believe ADT is one of them, has cell phones that are strictly alarm devices that you can press a button and it will let them know that you need help. Obviously an emergency contact list, you want to have that posted somewhere in the home that's visible. Stick it to your fridge, stick it to a cabinet, because when I have to go into the house and try to find somebody to contact because you're in dire straits, I want to know who I can contact without having to try to figure it out through our report system. This is one of those things that help us help you. In addition to that, have a list of your medications and your medical providers also handy, available, visible. If you're not comfortable leaving it visible, make a note somewhere that says all information, personal information can be found in X place, and leave that somewhere secure. I often say the kitchen's a really good place to have those things on the side of the fridge, away from the window, the other side, because that's the first place I look. That's where everybody puts the stuff they want to see and find readily. And then last but not least, hide your valuables and money in secure places. So the bedside table is not one. My house was burglarized when I was 12. They kicked in the back door, they took a pillowcase from my bed, and they went into my parents' room and dumped every drawer they could find, in the bedside tables and in the armoire, everything. All of the jewelry and all the values were hidden in socks, in the closet, in shoes, which weren't touched. Hint, hint. So, what, I just told everybody where to hide it? Yeah? You worried about me coming in there? No? Okay.
Better hope she come in there.
Well, now you all know where you're all hiding it, so you go visit each other's homes, you know, and snoop. So, moving on. What's really important to focus on here is that if you do end up having somebody in your home, whether that's because they enter by force, or like they enter by force when you answer the door for them, or they're coming in surreptitiously, they break in, and you happen to be home. Most often this occurs during the day because they assume nobody's home during the day. It's working hours, school, kids are out, parents are out. With people working from home, this is not as popular anymore. But I will say that this is really important information to have, because this is where you can make a better choice to keep yourself safe in every aspect. And I know one of the things that was discussed with me that they wanted me to touch on was having a protection device like a firearm. And then later we'll also discuss active shooter situations that's geared specifically towards senior citizens and how you guys can keep yourself safe. That was brought to my attention as well. So here, these are a couple suggestions. If you're home and you want to listen and check for strange sounds, hushed voices, if you're getting alerts from your security system or your alarm system, flashlight beams, footsteps, don't go towards them, go away from them. Lock yourself in a room, like a bathroom or a closet that can lock, or your bedroom, and stay there and call the police once you are locked in that place. And then once you are there, stay there until the police arrive. And if for some reason you do have a device, do you have a firearm with you, or some sort of protection item with you, you need to tell dispatch. We need to know. I'm not saying sit there with it pointed at the door until that moment. If that moment starts to happen, then yes, absolutely protect yourself, defend yourself. And we'll go into more detail about that at the Castle Doctrine. But keep yourself safe first and foremost. That is a last resort. Wait for us to get there and tell dispatch you have it. If you can leave the home in any manner, whether that's once they're inside or once you figure out they're in there and you don't have to lock yourself in a room, if you can do it without being heard or seen, do it. Leave the home. Go to a neighbor's house. Don't stay on the property. Go away. Leave your stuff behind. Stuff can be replaced. If you do come face to face, suggestions to deal with this person and keep yourself safe is number one, play dumb. It sounds silly, but play dumb. They can't communicate with you if that's what you do. It'll make them uncomfortable and they might just leave or walk away. You can just stare at them, not say anything. You don't want to do anything that's going to make them angry, make them frustrated. If they are being forceful, cooperating is the best thing you can do. Stand down, be passive. Or as it says in the last suggestion, stay calm and create space, which could mean you stand behind a table or a chair and let them do whatever they're doing across the room and just stand there quietly. They'll leave, or they'll do what they need to do and hopefully leave you be. And like I said before, if that is not the case, do what you need to do to protect yourself. And with that said, the Castle Doctrine is PA Title 18, so it's criminal code, subsection 505. That is all about self-defense in your home. And the point I want to make there is the Castle Doctrine is a gray area. So, from my understanding of the law, my interpretation, because it's always an interpretation, you can protect yourself in your home by any means if you feel your safety or life are in imminent danger of being, or of serious bodily injury or death. And if you have the means to escape, that is your first step. If you do not have the means to escape, you are covered under the castle doctrine. It will be considered self-defense.
Oh, really?
Yes. Oh, really? Yes. It's not perfect, but what's important about that is you want to focus on staying alive and not confronting the person, because you never know what they have. Go ahead, dear.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
My understanding was if someone has a gun, and I don't know where I heard this, if someone has a gun, you can't shoot the person in the back. If, for instance, they have a gun and they're going at you, and they don't realize you've got one, they turn around, if you shoot them in the back, it's not self-defense. Is that correct?
That really only applies to police officers, because it's federal law for us, because there is case law. However, as a normal citizen, if they are running away from you, or they're not engaging you, but they have a gun,
Okay, so they've walked into your house with the gun. They don't know you have a gun. They've taken the stuff and now they're running. They're in your house, they're running.
Let 'em.
But you have a gun.
let them run.
Don't shoot.
No, because what happens is you end up in civil court.
And that's what I had heard.
That's the gray area.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, because that's important to know. That is the gray area. Because his back turned and leaving, the first question you're going to be argued on is, why did you use force if they were leaving? So, this talks about if you have a home invasion, an intruder has entered your home by force. These are the steps you can take to manage that situation. Leave immediately once they enter. The link I have up there, I'm actually going to see if I can pull it up real fast. Okay, so I wanted to pull this up. This is a great example, and it was recent, March 5th of this year. These men were posing as water department employees. They had vests on that were fluorescent. They had a white pickup truck, no decals on it, but they went to the man's door, who was 96, knocked on it. They showed up and said, "We're here to test for lead in your water. We're from the water department." The one guy at the front door draws him out of the home and is talking to him, while the other guy goes in to test for lead and stole everything he was worth. Jewelry, clothes, money, every valuable they could get his hands on, because this guy just kept talking to the man at the front of the house. He gave him all the time in the world to just go peeking through whatever he could get to. So that's not by force, but that's a pretty good example of how easily they can convince you at your front door to let you in. This is the man right here. He was not the only one. There was another woman who was in her late 70s who was targeted as well. So there is no discrimination other than if you look old, no offense, they will try to target you. It's another reason to keep an eye on what's happening around your home, because they will case these places for days. I found out from the burglary that happened to my family, there was a red pickup truck that had been parking at the end of our cul-de-sac for 3 days straight. Not going anywhere, but just watching the cars that would come and go from my house. And then the red pickup truck showed up in the driveway, my neighbor saw it, 2 men got out, went in the house, 2 men got back in, drove off. She said, yeah, they were here a couple times. We didn't know who they were. We thought they were, just random people. They were casing the house. So, if you do have somebody enter your home by force, obviously if you're injured, crawl, drag yourself, find a way to get to a safe position or safe place, roll, anything like that, and then call police. Another reason why cell phones are great is you should keep one on you at all times. If you cannot leave and are injured, or you're injured, you want to use the same options as previously mentioned. So playing dumb, cooperating, trying to make distance if you can. Do not confront the subjects again, and attempt to retrieve your weapon from another area of the home if you can. Now, great example was if they're leaving, probably not the time to do that. This is obviously a vacuum situation, but Material items can be replaced, and money and valuables are a difficult loss, but none of them compare in value to your life. It sounds cheesy, but it's true. That stuff can be replaced. If you have insurance, you can put claims through insurance. I have my wedding rings insured, so I would rather live and just get new wedding rings than be in that position where I'm no longer here and can wear them. That's how I think about it. We'll move into personal safety next. Good segue. These are basic mindsets, thoughts, tips that you should keep in the back of your noggin when you're going out in public. Number one, buddy systems. Go with friends. Find someone to go with, a confidant, a family member, a companion, something of that nature, because there's power in numbers. Do not carry large amounts of money or valuables. Secure your purses or handbags by holding them close to your body. Gentlemen who have like any backpacks or anything like that, you want to tighten the straps. In my opinion, you shouldn't be wearing a backpack because they can pull you down with the backpack. If you have a fanny pack, wear it. Fanny packs, you can't grab them, you can't release them without you knowing that it's being done. You want to park any vehicles near a store entrance and have it be well lit as close as possible. Somebody brought up a really good point about handicap tags. So I was asked if handicap tags are a reason to be pulled over if you leave them hanging from your rear view mirror. Depending on which cop you get, and it's nobody here, you could be pulled over because there's vehicle code that states you cannot have anything hanging from your rear view mirror because it's considered a distraction and in your field of view, making it unsafe to operate the vehicle. I'm pretty sure that goes for fuzzy dice, not handicap placards, but you will not get pulled over for having a handicap placard hanging from your rear view. However, your car may be broken into for the handicap placard. That happens because they're expensive. You have to apply for them. People can't get them. Or people just want one to be able to have what I call diva parking and get close. So, with that, if you have daily activities like walks, bike rides, visits to stores, change it up, add some variety, because like I said, they'll watch and look for what you're doing and where you're going at what times. So if you have that 8 p.m. walk and you usually go to the right, go to the left, cut through a neighbor's yard, drive to another place to take the walk. Do not go out at night alone, or have an alert device with you. They have whistles, clappers. They have like little devices that will play really loud screeching sounds. Or there you go. Or scream. Screaming's a good one, but this is something you can have on you and like hang it around your neck or something like that. And then as always, trust your gut, stay alert to your surroundings, and keep an eye on those people around you and report anything suspicious. If it gives you the heebie-jeebies, it's probably not where you want to be or who you want to be around. So, from basics to a bad time, I want to highlight the fact that basics are going to help you in the everyday, but you need to know how to act in more dangerous situations. So you need to, as I said, be aware of who's around you and if you are being followed. It's happening a lot in stores now with young women. They're being followed and they're watching to see what cars they get into. The same thing can happen to you guys. If somebody tries to snatch your purse, let it go. Do not try to resist, do not try to hold on to it. It's not worth you falling over or getting injured. Let the purse go. If any strangers try to stop you, you don't know who they are, they're asking for money, they're asking for a ride, don't answer, just keep walking, find somewhere public with witnesses, a store, find an employee in a uniform, tell them, hey, I think this guy's trying to follow me, or I'm not comfortable, can I stay in here, can you call police? Do not call attention to yourself if that is what you have to do. They have the ability, if they really want to, they can try to put their hand over your mouth. They can try to quiet you in some way, grab you if you do start bringing attention to yourself, because they don't want it to be obvious that they are doing what they're doing. Obviously, if you're actively engaged, meaning you're trying to fight your way out of it, scream, call attention to yourself. But you want to try to get away from this person if they give you the heebie-jeebies and find a witness, like an employee or another person who, I mean, for women, you can approach another woman. If you're comfortable, approach a younger man. So if you're really smart, you can keep a small protection item in your house or in your purse, which can be easily accessed. And I'm going to show you an example of one we all carry every day. Did you ever hear brass knuckles?
Yes.
Yeah.
Key knuckles. Go for the eyes. I'm not kidding you. This is something I was taught when I was in college, and I would walk around at night with my keys like this in my hand. You never know. There's always a chance. So this is an easy way to have a level of protection on you. What I do want to make note of is that in Pennsylvania, having items like switchblades, mace, hand tasers are not legal. They are not legal. They can be confiscated.
What's not legal?
Mace, switchblades, so pepper spray, mace, same thing. Switchblades, like mini handheld, like zappers, you cannot have them. They're considered weapons.
But you can carry a gun.
I didn't say I agreed, by the way. I just said
But you can carry a gun.
with a license.
Well, why can't you have a license for mace or stuff like that? What maces want to kill you and like blind you? I don't get that.
Me neither. So, lead us into our next point. Great segue. Citizens of Pennsylvania, you are given the privilege, it is a privilege, to carry a firearm with concealed carry. You have to have an active license. And on top of that, active shooter incidents are on the rise. And because of that, they have a lot of citizens exercising the right to carry now. With great power comes great responsibility and liability. You will be held responsible for how you use it. And if you want to or already do concealed carry, like I just said, your actions will be questioned, like our example earlier. Use of force is always the last resort, regardless of the situation or threat. That is the rule I'm held to, what they'll be held to. We have something called the use of force pyramid, where we can match or one step up. Because if we go beyond that, our actions are called into question, because it's considered unreasonable. And now, like I said, gray area. Self-defense is not a guaranteed defense. It is a choice and an action. And I 100% believe that if you choose to take that action, it's because you felt you needed to, and you made a very quick decision in that second. Just know, you will be called into some level of litigation. Even if it's just to determine, yes, that is in fact what happened, and that was what you should have done. So, with active shooters, as always, you want to emphasize your safety first. You deserve to know how to protect yourself in these situations, and quite frankly, I was disappointed to see how little there was on how to help senior citizens learn how to protect themselves in active shooter situations. But this was the best thing I could find, was avoid, deny, defend. Avoiding in this situation is if you have an active shooter, you want to avoid them. You want to find possible exits, the nearest possible exits. You want to find ways to not hide, but you want to find windows or structural damage areas that you can come out of or go through to escape. Target availability is one of the 2 contributions to the increased number of casualties in these incidents. Many people are told to hide. or barricade themselves in small spaces. It's not. Hiding is not gonna help you because now you're just a sitting duck. You want to take action and get out. Obviously, mobility and things of that nature, eyesight, are going to come into play. Try to find assistance. Find a way to keep yourself safe. And in that instance, you want to keep the attacker away by finding a room where you can lock the doors, barricade the entry, or create obstacles. You turn off lights, and then you can take a belt. So the locking mechanism on that door over there is like a piston at the top. You can tie a belt around it to stop it from operating. It will not open. So that's a little hint. It's a good thing to keep in mind. And then on top of that, if the doors open out, you can create an obstacle by piling things up in front. If they open in, you can create a barricade. So if that's the option you have to take and let anybody else help you, do it. But you can do that too. If you need to stay in an area and hiding is your only option, hide yourself, create an obstacle, a barricade. If for some reason you come into contact with the shooter, you have the right to defend yourself should the need arise. Don't fight fair. Remember how I said go for the eyes? They're sensitive areas. If it is a male, defense, gentlemen, that is another sensitive area. Do what you must to stay alive, be aggressive, and don't quit. Keep fighting. And stops, walk away, gives up, what have you. So, we're gonna try to blast through these because I wanna make sure I cover everything. Cybersecurity, as I said, very, very, very important. You guys all have access to the World Wide Web in some way, shape, or form. Not everybody has emails or access to internet, but what's important to know is that cybersecurity is a prevalent concern for your population. AI has become a very quick means of scamming you all, either by phone or the internet, and people can get remote access to your computers just by providing them a little information that's specific to you through like an account or a website. They can hack right in. Your age group is susceptible to cybersecurity attacks because of unsafe technology practices and a tendency to trust easily. I'm saying that with caution because the explanation behind that is inexperience with technology or a certain level of technology can leave you susceptible to instances where you are coming into contact or speaking to or working with scammers who will use specific methods of talking to you or coercing you, verbal judo, if you will, to make you trust them more easily. As people age, your ability to pick up on those social cues in verbal communication diminishes for no other reason than it happens to everybody. So we're going to go through some of the things you want to listen for that are like hints or clues, red flags. So that leads us into section 5. In 2022, there were 88,262 complaints of fraud resulting in $3.1 billion in losses from people aged 60 plus. You hear all those gasps? That's what I had when I read that. Literally, I was like, oh my God. And that's from the United States. Imagine the world, like other continents. That's 3.1 billion. So, what's important to know here is the top 5 financial scams that lead to those numbers becoming a reality are: number 1, government impersonation scams. You're getting called by the IRS. You're getting called by some form of county government, state government, what have you. Sweepstakes, lottery scams. If you play any sweepstakes or lotteries, they want your information to send you a check, and instead they take your money. Robocalls and phone scams. Computer tech support scams. How many people have McAfee or virus protection? Yeah. They pose as those companies and say, oh, you have a virus and we need to protect you. And then the last one, which I've actually had contact with is the grandparent scam, and it breaks my heart because it is the most personal, vulnerable thing you can do to any human being. So, if you don't want those things happening to you, you need to know these things. These are the things to listen for and look out for. No government agency is going to call you. They don't have enough people, they don't have the time, and they don't care that much. So, they're not going to contact you by phone, they're going to contact you by mail. There was a young lady who had a letter from NJM Insurance. Oh, she's in the food area. She has a letter, and she said to me, hey, is this real? Is the letter still sitting on the table back there? Do you mind bringing that up real fast? I was glad she brought it because it's one of those like real life examples of is it or is it not. So often what you'll see, perfect, thank you, perfect. I think, yeah, there's a whole back. So here, oh sorry, it was JP Morgan. JP Morgan sent her some paperwork. And then something from PBI. So with these, I'm just taking a quick peek at these documents. My initial impression is these are legitimate. And what this is doing is telling her, hey, we had a breach in our security systems. Oh, cybersecurity. And we need to let you know that we had a breach. And we're doing that by sending you this letter to give you the steps you need to take in case your information was taken. The second one from PBI, same thing. Now, what I'm seeing on these letters is they have little numbers at the bottom that are tracking numbers in a way. The other best option with these, if you really don't know, call the company and ask, hey, did you have a data breach and did you send me this letter?
But not that number.
Gonna take the number off.
Oh, good point, sorry. In my head, the first step is Google the company, don't call the number that's on the sheet. But with that, if you do call them, if the person you're speaking to has any of your personal or financial information without you giving it to them, tell them it's incorrect and hang up, or just hang up. No banking institution is going to tell you your account number. They're going to ask you for it because they want to know it's you. If they already have it, that's a problem. Phone scams will request for payment via Bitcoin or gift cards. That's not how we pay our bills. They will also demand to be on the phone when you complete the transaction and walk you through it. I did have a gentleman once go all the way through the process, and he ended up losing $12,000 because they kept asking for more and more and more. And then they had his information and it just drained his bank account. I did also have a grandparent scam. It was, hi, my mom, it sounded like her son, or her grandson. Hi, mom, I'm in jail in New York City and I need to post bail. Can you send me some money? I don't have a lawyer, I need money for a lawyer too. And she went through with the whole thing and her life savings was pretty much drained. And when I say life savings, I mean like 20 grand. Because this guy just kept asking for more, saying, oh, the lawyer needs more, oh, the bond was increased, oh, I need to go to the judge and he gave me a fine for the DUI. But she never asked any questions. She never got more information. She didn't ask who the lawyer was. She didn't say what jail are you in or who arrested you. She didn't contact the police department, the jail, nothing. So with that, never give your personal information out because that's what she ended up doing. You don't want to give them birth dates, social securities, anything like that. Sites like Amazon, PayPal, Microsoft, or like I said, McAfee, are not going to send you invoices in your email or virus detection emails. That doesn't happen. You also, if you do get any of those emails, you're not quite sure, check the sender's information because often the email that's associated with the sender is a personal email or it will look odd. It'll just be like numbers and letters at like hotmail.com. It won't look real. And then any emails that are in your spam are spam. Delete them. Delete them. If somebody really needs to get in contact with you and is going to spam, they'll find a way. But any spam is spam. That's my general rule. Don't open them. Don't click on anything. If you don't trust it, don't go through with it. I saw a hand over here. Okay.
I had a call for the grandson thing. Oh, Grandma, I need money. I said, well, who is this? This is your grandson. I said, which one?
Nice. That's a great idea. Or you say, I don't have a grandson.
Right.
You can really mess with them.
I don't have any
Yeah.
grandchildren. I have nieces and nephews. So I
So-
said, which one?
That's a really good strategy. That's actually really good. Thank you for volunteering that. So, it is important to note that while it is common for senior citizens to be targeted by scams and fraudulent activity, online and over the phone, there are other forms of fraud. I don't like covering these things, but they're truth. If you have subjects approaching you at your home offering driveway services, home repairs, or other amenities, requesting cash, and that's it. No contracts, no receipts, nothing. They request cash up front. They are not there to do your driveway. I had an elderly woman who agreed, gave the guy the cash. He leveled her driveway and never came back. So she was left with broken up rock. Her neighbor was nice enough to help her get it fixed. But that happens. Persons claiming that they are related to you and need financial assistance. If you have social media, this is big on social media, fake GoFundMe accounts. Your best bet is sending this person the money directly if they are in fact family with like a check. But in any instance, I wouldn't suggest doing that either. If they really needed help, they would find a way to prove that they're related. I would highlight social media because you can go on Facebook and see mutual friends. They create fake profiles. We call them Finstas on Instagram, fake Instagrams. So there's some lingo for you. So lastly, the one I can't stand, family, friends, and caregivers. Those are the most common out of all of these, is internal. That surprised me. They offer assistance with finances. They ask to be your power of attorney. They want to be some sort of fiduciary power of attorney, put you on the will, things of that nature. Guess where they end up when everything goes to here, with me. I get the call. And I have nothing to say to them other than this is a civil issue because you volunteered. You let them. You helped them do it. You signed the paperwork. They didn't coerce you. Because most of the time that's the case. Is there's no coercion. It's just, hey, let me help you out. Okay, no problem. You gotta stay alert. So this is the last section. Perfect timing. Independent aging. This was really important. This is why I put this at the end. Help us help you. There are benefits, there's downfalls, and if you do want to independently age, as you gracefully age, there are some things you should keep in mind to prepare and have a plan. First and foremost, the benefits are that you maintain your independence and control, which I don't blame you, I like mine too. You can find that the many people find it's cost effective. Like I said, this is probably the best area to age in place in terms of low cost. You can modify versus move out. Sometimes, a lot of the time, it's less expensive to modify your home rather than move out. You have a familiar area around you, proximity to friends and family. They can come see you easily. There's no visiting times or anything like that. Your access to technology makes it a lot easier to meet with your medical personnel or your appointment needs, pharmacy needs, because you can do everything through telehealth, or you can call them. They call, so I know my one doctor emails my script through a secure service to the pharmacy, and then the pharmacy texts me when it's ready, and I can pick it up or have it, they walk into the car if you can drive. It's like, makes it so convenient. And then obviously the last one, the very important one, you have to maintain access. And its benefit, you can maintain access to social groups that you've already established. And a lot of them can be senior-based organizations, but any social group you have, or activity group, you can stay involved in it. No starting over is a really good way to summarize it. Downfalls, because everything does have a con to a pro. Physical or mental decline while you're living alone and not having someone to look out for you and keep you accountable, make sure you're okay. Finances are dependent because you have to monitor your spending. If you become a victim of fraud, that's going to obviously affect this. And then I know many people are low incomes, or Social Security just doesn't help support your needs if you have other responsibilities behind you that require money, like higher costs. A lot of that's medical care. If you don't have any family or friends, or if you've lost them unfortunately as you've aged, it leads to isolation. One of the more sad statistics I read was that the rate of suicide in senior citizens is much higher than it was because aging in place, aging independently, unfortunately has led to isolation, which can make any person depressed and feel lonely. So keep that in mind. You want to have social circles and supports around you. If you don't have the ability to work with technology, or it's too advanced, it limits your options. You might kind of be in your own little hole, or it might be more difficult for you to age in place. And then your ability to form social bonds is directly affected by your mobility and your access to transportation. So if you don't have a car, or you can't drive, or you don't have somebody to give you rides, you might not be able to come to things like this. So you want to have a plan. A lot of this today has just been having a plan. So your plan, number one, you present family and friends with important information and an action plan in the event you need assistance. Create connections with neighbors, provide them with access to your home if trusted. I know I would trust my neighbor with access to my home. He can come in my back gate to check on my home while I'm away. And when you create these connections, sometimes having them come over and just spend some time with you is a really great way to combat that isolation. Ask them for rides. I know that some people will opt to live with other family. They call it intergenerational aging or living arrangements. They'll live with grandkids, nieces, nephews, other friends. Some people will become roommates. It's not a bad idea. It's company in the end. I'm going to try to handle these next things with as much care as possible. You should focus on completing any end-of-life arrangements, including directives such as DNRs, before you move into this phase, if this is in fact what you want to do. These are things that you should have done already. Your wills are included, financial, anything related to your property, your estate, that should all be in place before you're at a point where you can no longer advocate for yourself. God forbid you do end up having Alzheimer's or dementia or just limited capacity in some form. And then you want to place, as I said before, you place your personal info and medical providers on visible lists in the home, or make it easy to find them, because that leads me into the worst case scenario, which I hate the fact that I've had so many of these, but it's the truth. I had a incident where a woman lived alone. Her family, only family, was her sister in Germany. And they didn't really speak very much. But her neighbor looked out for her, just kept an eye on her daily routine, and called us when he said, "Hey, I'm kind of concerned. I don't think she has any heat right now. I haven't seen her walking around outside in her normal routine. I'm worried that she's gotten thin, like I don't know if she's eating, and I just would like someone to check on her." So we go to the house. The blinds are all drawn, so we can't see in. Front door, I thought was locked. It actually wasn't in the end, but it was jammed. So we tried getting in multiple ways. There was no ambulance visits or hospital visits that dispatch had received. It was pretty much a mystery. We didn't have any next of kin or any contact. We ended up being able to open the door. It was unlocked, and we kind of had to like shove our way in. And you walk into the home, and it is a mess. There's stuff everywhere. There was no heat. There was no food. And I didn't get more than, I think, 10 feet in, and I saw her feet sticking out of the bedroom. And she had been there for at least 2 days. So, that is not what I wanted to see happen, because what went on from there is I had no choice but to stay there and wait for the coroner to come take her. So part of your end of life planning is going to be funerals, funeral homes. And what these folks are going to talk to you about today is making arrangements either with your family or independently for where you would like to be buried, where you want to end up, and how we as police can help you in that moment when you no longer can. I often will help call the funeral homes if they have one in mind. I will ask the people to expedite. I will stay with the family. I will call who they need to call, because that is the most upsetting and vulnerable position to be in. And that's what we as police officers see. We see you in the worst, because that's when they call us, not when everything's going well, or you want a pizza. I've had that.
She said it, I didn't say it.
So, if with that being said, these are some of the backups, I'll call them, that you can kind of invest in and contact to make sure that you at least have some way of making sure that if, God forbid, we end up being the last ones with you at that time, you can help us help you. I will highlight, number one, the Bucks County Home Repair Program. They will fix your house for free. You can apply, and they will fix it for free. Likewise, TMA Bucks is transportation. They have transportation programs for seniors. And then food. Food availability is what I always see struggle with. There have been cases where they were feeding their cats and not themselves. Look, I get it, I love my dogs. Whoa. I think the best authority on there, though, is the Bucks County Agency on Aging. That is your hub. That's who you should be contacting for any level of help, because they can direct you to these services. So, thank you for coming. I want to be able to let these folks come in and do their presentation. I will stay for the luncheon, and I will be around. You guys can happily ask me questions. But I do want to give these folks an opportunity, because they were very patient.
What's her name? What's her name? What she said? That is I'm trying to
All right, we're gonna make this short, sweet, and simple. I promise you, we got lunch back here. You're probably hungry, so we're not gonna ramble on. We're gonna make it short, sweet, and simple just to get some information across. This isn't a scam or a gimmick. If it were, Officer Stone would definitely be kicking my butt with those brass knuckles. So, this is, my name's Robert. I'm the general manager at Resurrection Cemetery. I'm not here trying to take you back with me. We hope you last for a very long time. And with me is Christy Cross. She's the family service counselor. So she set up over here at the table for information at the end of all this. So what we are here to talk about just for a few short minutes is the importance of pre-planning. Getting your ducks in a row, hence all the ducks and the poster over there. So basically, what we want to talk about is getting those ducks in a row for your final wishes. Okay, honoring your life story is our life's work. Okay, we see it all too many times where God forbid somebody passes away in the family, and nothing is set up. They have no idea what they want. Where do we put them? Where are we burying them? What are we dressing them in? Do they want a casket? Do they want to be cremated? 1,000,001 things. So we see people coming in making these decisions under stress, under disarray. They then start emotionally purchasing things. They want the best casket. They want the best vault. All that can be stripped down and taken away if you pre-plan. This is your final hug to your family members. Okay? Again, we want you to live for 100 more years. We don't want this to happen today. But we want to stress the importance of this pre-planning. Okay? So, a couple things. Experiencing the odds. That's one quick thing we want to talk about. Who here owns a home? Okay. Do you have insurance on that home?
Yeah.
Who here drove here today? Do you have insurance on your car? This is, why do we not pre-plan for your final arrangements, for your funeral? This is one thing you're not going to get out of. Okay? You do home insurance, there's 1 in 2,500 chance that you're going to have a house fire. Let's hope that never happens. What's the odds that we're all going to pass away? 1 in 1. So why do we not plan for this? Why do we not set aside and take the time and opportunity to plan for this? And that's what we're here to talk about. One of the other benefits to pre-planning today versus next year or 2 years from now is, one, we take life for granted. We never know when it's our time. That's number one. Number two is inflation. We all know what inflation is. So, for example, a gallon of milk back in January, $4.33 for a gallon of milk. Back in 2000, it was $2.78. So we all see inflation. Same thing goes with this, with your arrangements for your casket, for your vault, your opening, your closing, your headstone. When you pre-plan today, you're locking in at today's rates. I'm not here to sell you. I'm not here to say, hey, sign here, here's a contract. We just want to give you information, and what you do with that information is your business. So what we strongly suggest is come see Christy over at the table, fill out an information form, and then she'll get in touch with you. And then when you set the appointment with Christy, the officer was just talking about your will. We're going to give you a free will kit. If you don't have a will, this is all right here. Everything that you need is in this will kit. So when you set up an appointment with Christy for information, everything's here. Yes?
Are you handing that free will kit?
I'm sorry?
Are you handing the free will kit out?
When you set the appointment to come in to meet with Christy, we'll give you one.
Because there's a scammer going around with a free will kit and they ask all your information.
Gotcha. So I'm not, she's a scammer. I just told you the officer will kick my butt. I'm not here to scam you guys. So we're Resurrection Cemetery. One last thing, why choose Resurrection Cemetery? A couple reasons. One, we're 10 minutes up the road for anybody that's local. If I heard the officer speak on behalf of Google search. Search things out on Google, make sure it's legit. You can Google search us. We're a 4.5 star out of 5. Okay, versus our competitor up the road that's at a 1.2. Sorry?
Where are you located?
We are located at 5201 Unionville Road, right across the street from St. Ephraim's Parish. Right across the street. So when you come by, you can take a park tour. Christy can show you around, or you can walk the park yourself. We constantly have people walking and strolling the park, checking it out. We have a beautiful landscape. It's beautiful right now. At the springtime, everything's blooming. Come by and check out the park. It's gorgeous. One of the first things that my superintendent said to me when I started there, he's been there for 37 years. He told me, look out the front window, look out the back window. That's my backyard and front yard. He cares about the property. Are we perfect? No. There's going to be some situations where there might be, a site that might need to be filled with grass seed or more dirt. We hop right on it. Just give us a call. We care about the property. So again, I'm not going to tie you guys up with anything. I know lunch is here. Make sure you come check out Christy over at the Ducks in a Row table. Fill out the card that she has. She'll give you a call. You set an appointment, and then she'll give you one of the will kits. And we just want to give you information. Again, what you do with that information is your business. And that's all the time I have. Yes?
I did that 50 years ago.
Smart.
I had 2 incidences where we had burials about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And it was the best thing that I ever did.
Thank you.
Because they took care of everything
Yep.
for me 2 years
It's
ago.
all prearranged. Again, this is putting your last hug to your family members. That's how we like to put this. You know, so your family, God forbid, if something happens to you, they're not coming in and making frantic decisions. Everything is set aside for what you want. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. Oh, all the way in the back. Yes, absolutely. It's smart. We recommend that you do. Yes. Not at all. There's zero application. When you come in, what you have with us right now is what we're going to do when you come into Resurrection. We are not here to force or sell or push anything upon you or ask for money or anything of that nature. Come in and see what works for you. Some might want it full burial, some might want it above ground, some might want it cremation. Come in and we'll just give you the information. That's all we want to do. Simple. That's it. All right, let's eat lunch. Thank you guys for your attention. I appreciate it. Thank you.